right. Today I have the good fortune of sitting down with Kyle Rogers, aka Obnoxious Little Shit on Instagram. So if you're not following him, I hope you do. You and I first met a few years ago
Yes.
after you'd moved to Birmingham, and I saw you doing some live painting at an event, and I just thought I wanted to learn your story.
Well, there's a lot
I
there.
know.
How
Yeah.
much do you want to know?
Yeah, exactly. So, I think we're going to show people a lot about your work and stuff, but one of the things I love is just it's raw and it has so much movement to it. But you didn't always do this.
No, no. So I was a corporate lobbyist in Washington, D.C. for 30 years.
Okay.
Originally moved up there to work for a congressman. What kind of got me painting is that I had a travel schedule 300 days a year for about the last 15 years I was up there.
Wow.
And I was always on a plane. I got an iPad and I started with my finger drawing on the iPad, similar to what you do now on a phone.
Sure.
And I just was doing it over and over and over. I got my 10,000 hours in.
Yeah.
And got real proficient at it to where when I was out on the road and I had the opportunity to get away and go to, say, a gallery or what have you, Santa Fe, New Orleans, I would either take pictures to then draw them on the plane,
Yeah.
up time,
Yeah.
or draw them while I was standing there.
Yeah. Did you draw a lot as a kid?
I was a doodler.
You were a doodler.
Certainly not any kind of great artist or anything. I just doodled. But I have a real need to create.
Uh-huh. That's
So,
strong.
yeah.
Yeah. And then you had a heart incident.
I did. So ironically, I was in New Orleans and I went in this gallery, a guy named Haroni. He's got this great gallery. Haroni, so it's very macabre, kind of big oil paintings.
Okay.
It just looked like a really cool gallery.
Yeah.
On Royal Street, New Orleans.
Okay.
And I walked in and there was this little guy, sitting there, and I walked up to one of the paintings. I'm looking at it and I said, I always had my iPad with me.
Right.
And I said, can I draw that? He said, why would you want to do that? I said, well, it's cool.
Yeah.
He said, you think you can do that? I said, yeah, it's a head. I think so. And he said, I wish you wouldn't, because he was the artist.
Stuff.
And I didn't know he was the artist. So we got to talking and he said, if you can do that, you should learn how to paint. And at the time I was addicted to using my finger. And I said, I don't think I can. And he's like, yeah, you probably can. Long story short, I ended up going home to Charleston, South Carolina. It's all like divine intervention, right?
Oh, yeah.
I go home to Charleston where it never snows, and it snowed 2 inches. And so you're locked down for 7 days. So I was at my parents' house for 7 days. My grandmother used to live with my mom and dad, and she had left some art stuff.
Yeah.
So I got a paintbrush and tried. And I, over time, found that a longer paintbrush, I could kind of move like my finger.
Okay.
So that was kind of.
Because you have these
Yeah.
Are these the ones you use now?
Yeah.
I
well,
mean,
that was kind of old.
Okay,
but,
they're kind of like destroyed. We'll show a picture of those.
So I, did a few, went back to DC, over time, painted a few. They weren't very good. I was trying to stay inside the lines with the paint, kind of like the color.
Like what you think an artist
does. What you think
does.
you should do, right? Did a few, sold a couple. Have a dear friend in Santa Fe that runs a great store. You should go out there and see it. Wahoo Santa Fe.
Wahoo Santa Fe.
And so it sent her one out of the blue, just said, hey, I'm sending this to you. And she was kind enough to put it in her store. I had another friend that bought one, but basically they were not so great. Not that they're great now, but they were so great then. And then I went back to New Orleans a few times, and each time I would visit, different galleries. I'd walk back into the Haroni gallery. Hey, I painted this. I went back a third time and had a grade 3 electrical heart block on Bourbon Street.
Say that again. What was it called?
It's called a grade 3 electrical heart block. So essentially your top half is no longer sending the signal to the bottom half of your heart to beat.
And you were in New Orleans.
I was walking down Bourbon Street to go get dinner. Didn't have a phone. It's terrible. Ended up in ICU, got a pacemaker stuck in me. And then when I got back home, as I walked in a house, having traveled 300 days a year for so many years, I didn't have a television. All I had was sad country songs for CDs to play, and hear my parents on the phone saying, turn up some music and be happy. And I'm like, I don't have any. So my father said, just get the paints out. Hey, calm me down. So I started dabbling a little bit more.
Had you quit work by that point?
No, I was still working up there. I, in fact, went back to the grind 3 weeks later, and 6 weeks later from the incident, I was hosting a party for 800 of my favorite political friends.
Oh my gosh!
In Austin. So I did that for 2.5 more years.
Okay.
And then decided one day kind of quickly.
But the pacemaker.
Oh, I fixed everything.
Really?
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And so was 2.5 years later, just for myriad reasons, decided I'm leaving DC. And I decided to leave relatively quickly. And had some offers, and one was Birmingham.
Okay.
And my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, and I were sitting in my yard, and it was like Atlanta, Birmingham. I've been to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
Yeah.
Never been to Birmingham. And I literally thought I was coming to, like cornfields, cotton fields, like dirt. And then I flew here, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so moved here, and then was working at a company, this executive for a company here for a while. And a tree fell through my house during COVID, and it fell right on where our heads would have been. So fortunate we were in bed. It was during the
There's like so many God moments.
Yes. And I am a believer that out of bad stuff, good stuff can happen.
Yeah.
And so, obviously the pacemaker kind of got me into painting. Now I'm here. The tree falls through my house. In fixing the house, they left a roll of tar paper or roofing paper, what's called felt paper, black tar paper.
We'll show everybody what that looks like.
And I went outside in the garage at a period of time, and I was like, nothing to paint on, no cardboard, no paper, whatever. And I was like, I wonder if I can paint on this. Probably toxic, what do I know? But I smudged it and was able to visually see the image very quickly.
You smudged it how? Like, what did you do?
I barely got a little white paint on my brush and just kind of smudged it.
Okay.
And then I ran inside, got my wife, actually. She was working from home. And I said, hey, check this out. Can you see that image? And she's like, no. And then once I splashed some color, she's like, oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I could just, through that smudging, see the image.
Right.
And that's what got it all started. I was like, I found the ability to do my painting like I was drawing on the iPad.
Okay.
I kept saying to myself, I can never crack that code for myself.
Right.
I'll be able to paint them where they're, bouncing around on the canvas.
Right. Right.
And so that's really what took it off.
Okay. And you do some stuff on canvas now, but you still do a lot on paper.
Yes. Well, the tar paper, I just think it's a great substrate. A lot of artists do it. I think there's some really great artists that do it here in Alabama.
Yeah.
I didn't know it at the time. I thought I had discovered, Pandora's box, but it's a substrate that a lot of people use.
Okay.
I know there's a great artist here, Trace Taylor.
Okay.
He paints on tar paper in a different way. And I've never met him, but I just know his work.
Yeah.
But for me, it just takes the paint great, and I can make it move. I can make it look like an oil painting. I can make it look like a pastel. It's depending on how much paint you put on it.
Okay.
Then I paint on something called ram board.
Ram board.
Which is like an industrial cardboard, I guess. It comes in a roll, similar to like the roll of tar paper.
Okay.
And there's a great artist out of Marfa, Texas, that saw me paint in Round Top, Texas, and said, you should use this material. He paints oil paintings on it. It's a guy named George Zupp.
Okay.
And
Zupp.
Z-U-P-P.
Okay.
Kind of a crude artistry, but it's what he's, full.
Yeah.
But I ended up using that as well. And you can pound the paint on it, kind of make it feel like an oil painting. Or you can do less paint and give that same kind of movement as almost.
Do you use oil or?
I use house paint.
You use house paint?
Regular old house paint. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm just a paint slinger. Look, I'm no Van Gogh, right? It's a Van Gogh. I just go fast.
Okay.
And move from one painting to the other.
Well, I think it's all in the eye of the beholder.
Well, hopefully there are lots of people.
Yeah, you have a lot of beholders. When we walked in today and we were setting up for this, you had a customer who was waiting at the front door.
Yeah, she was cool. She was from Nashville. And I think I had painted something for her friend.
Yeah.
So she came in to get one, that's the blessing of it all. I worked for many years traveling. My older brother, I have two older brothers, but my oldest brother is always teasing me back during that time, while you're up in the plane, I'm living, I'm fishing, I'm doing this, that, and the other. And there was some truth to that, but I thought this was my calling to go do what I was doing.
Right.
But he was right. I mean, I missed a lot of time doing some stuff that I should have been doing. And so now I'm very blessed to be able to be retired.
Yeah.
Not need to work necessarily and do this. Some days it feels like a job, but for the most part, I do it to meet people and have fun.
Yeah.
Try to give one away a day.
You do? Okay. Great. And so, what does Birmingham mean to you for this stage of your life?
Oh, wow. Well, this stage of my life. So,
This chapter.
it's this chapter. So I'm 59.
Okay.
My wife is 40. So
Okay.
she's mid-career. I still consult, but for the most part, I come in here and paint every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm a resident artist an artist out in Round Top, Texas. So I've set up at a venue and paint during those shows. I've been doing that since October 23. Fortunate enough to kind of have built a name out there.
Yeah.
So I'm always preparing for those shows.
Okay.
And then have done here recently a few other shows in and around town or over in Mississippi. So I'm trying to branch out a little more.
Mm-hmm.
So I will confess that the first 4.5 years here in Birmingham, with the exception of meeting folks like you and Virginia Bowman,
Yeah.
where I think is where you and I initially
I think
met.
that is where we met.
And then some other great friends in town that I met through the art world and what have you. I didn't like it so much.
Yeah. What were your thoughts or feelings at that time about Birmingham?
Well, it probably was more based on work and the drudgery of that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then also I was so used to being on the grind.
Mm-hmm.
I was a hamster wheel guy, always on the go, 300 years for many years.
Yeah.
Airports, what have you. And then COVID hit, and that kind of changed the dynamic of work. And then just other things related to how you work post-COVID.
Yeah.
I just found myself kind of getting in this laborious day after day. And then when I got out of work and started coming in here, I was very blessed to find pickers.
Mm-hmm. So that's where we are now. We are at Crestwood Pickers in Birmingham.
Yeah, kind of a game changer for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not your conventional artist. So you mentioned that I paint on the canvas. I get this big roll of raw canvas. So I don't gesso it, I paint on it.
Okay.
And then just go to town on it. So it's raw. Hopefully I'm kind of that way. It just kind of exhibits what I am. But I came here initially and inquired about getting a stall. Because this is a picker's place. People get stalls and sell things that their mom and dad left them.
Right.
Find in the attic. So I had come in and talked to the owner, Arminda, and said, "Can I get a booth?" And she said, "Oh my God, it'll take you 5 years." And wow.
Really?
Yeah, she's got a backlog. So I said, "Well, I'm an artist. So I'll stand in the corner. I'm just looking to meet people." I wanted to get out of painting in my driveway.
Sure.
And so she was kind enough to give me her stall right in the front. And then I said, "Well, I'll come in every day and paint." So hopefully that will draw people in. And over time, I kind of moved back to the back of the store. It's a huge building.
Yeah.
And was preparing for a show in Round Top. So I was doing really big paintings, and I covered the ground back here, and she was so sweet to let me do it. And then ultimately built this gallery so that I have a gallery called Lost Cowboy inside a picker's place, which is kind of unique.
It is.
It changed the game. And now I've got other artists coming in and saying, can I,
it's kind of a collective.
Well, they want to, I just tell them, go do it in another building.
Yeah.
But it's great. And hopefully it's benefiting the Crestwood Pickers community because people come in here. You will know this young lady's last name, Ambrose. Oh, she comes in for the antiques in the garden.
Okay.
But she lives in England.
Oh, wow.
And she had come through when I had a booth up front, when I was doing the gig up front there in the store. And she had a great following. She was here for that big event in Birmingham. Yes. And she got a few paintings. And she had been on a show called Homeworthy.
Okay.
And so when she posted, within 2 days, I met Virginia Bowman, who has
Revival Antiques.
So I was I thought that was great. She invited me to come paint live, where I think I met you the first time. So I was meeting folks at that point, and then was fortunate enough to get in the Birmingham Lifestyle magazine. Callie McNaught.
Yep.
It was crazy. Her mom bought the first painting I had sold here.
Callie's mom did?
Callie's mom. I went to a business meeting, and she sat next to me and announced that she had, she ran the Birmingham Lifestyle magazine.
Uh-huh.
So after the meeting, I said, "Oh, I'd love to speak with you. I mean, I'd like to do illustrations or what have you." And as we were talking, my phone went off, and she saw the cover photo of my phone, and she said, "Go back to that. My mom and dad have that hanging over their
Wow,
Isn't that
what
crazy?
serendipity.
Crazy. And I said, you
Yeah,
got to be kidding. I knew it had sold. I was in a small gallery in Homewood. I knew it had sold, but I didn't know to whom,
right.
which is often the case in a gallery. You're never going to know who it
Yeah.
goes to. But it was her mom.
Wow.
And so I thought that was crazy. And then later, here she was coming in here, taking photos and doing a story on
Yeah.
me for painting and press with
That's
pictures.
so cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
very
and
cool.
I'm blessed. You know, the woman that owns this, Arminda, has been very kind to let me come in here and do this, and hopefully it's mutually beneficial.
I think so. Although I will say, when I walked in the front door and I knew your gallery and everything was in the back, and I didn't want to get distracted. I had to have tunnel vision kind of
Yeah,
coming in. I was like, don't stop and look, because I love
it's
a picking
awesome,
place.
and I enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
I walk the floor often, but I also like to try to take people, if they come back to visit me, take them back up front if they get a painting, or if I've given them a painting, walk back up front and maybe take them a different route.
Oh
So
yeah.
that they can see other vendors stuff. I mean, that's part of the benefit of being to the back, is that they have to walk through the store. And I'm always coming in early morning and walking the floor to see what's cool.
What's new.
And then take people, hey, you ought to see this, ought to see that.
Yeah.
And I love meeting the people. You know, you're meeting folks from all over. Like the young lady today was from Nashville, and I painted something for her friend's daughter, I guess. But oftentimes you get like the 24, 25-year-old that's getting married or that just bought their first home. I know they're not going to necessarily pay, you know, for a huge painting, which I don't. Yeah, I try to keep my prices pretty low, but I'll just give it to them, because in that way they'll come back.
Yeah.
But it's also, you know, I do it for fun as much as I do it to make a living.
And connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And don't you find that Birmingham is a place that it is easier to make connection?
Oh, it's great. It's a great city.
Yeah.
You know, short of, I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina.
Right.
So, you know, you're asking about how I feel. Yeah, my heartstrings are Charleston boy. I have elderly parents, 88, 85, back home in Charleston. Try to get home often. Show you my stupidity. When I left DC, I'm like, I'm going to get closer to home. I'm going to Alabama. You know, DC is a longer drive. It's approximately 8 hours,
right,
to 10
to Charleston.
But that flight is hour and 15 minutes direct.
Right.
And here I've got to go through Atlanta or North Carolina. It takes me 8 hours to connect. When I drive home, it's about, it says 6 hours, 6.5, but it takes you about 8 hours to drive home. So I didn't get any closer in that regard.
Yeah. It's a commitment to drive to Charleston.
It is. And in fact, we're going today. My wife and I are going to visit my parents today. So it's a long drive. We'll probably leave later in the day and stop on the other side of Atlanta, spend the night, and go.
Where do you like to stop when you drive?
Oh, geez. She just wants to get on the other side of Atlanta.
Yeah.
So we'll just find some random hotel.
Okay.
And then drive on into Charleston in the morning. So my heartstrings are really, you know, being home with my parents, getting back home at some point, you know, but it's difficult to do. I can't just up and go. And like I said, until I found this, I was probably struggling here. Not so much as, hey, I could talk to a blade of grass, but it was more just finding my community. This has allowed me to find my community.
Yeah. I think that's what people also find surprising about Birmingham. I know we're known for banking and insurance and UAB, but the creative community here,
strong.
I mean,
very
you
strong.
have so many magazines that are headquartered here. So you've got all those tertiary creatives who support those endeavors, writers, photographers, prop stylists, designers.
Folks that are making whole movie backdrops.
Right.
And I've met such interesting people. I like to tell folks that come in, they find out I'm a lobbyist or was a lobbyist.
Recovering lobbyist?
I still dabble. I still consult, but yeah, for the most part, I'm painting every day. But the people I've met, I used to wear cufflinks and suits every day and get on planes, and no one said a word, you know, because that's just the ants getting on the plane. Everyone's stressed. You just sit there and go. And now, you know, when I retired, it's a funny story. So I met my neighbor, who is 90 years old now, during COVID.
Okay.
I went running and she was at the mailbox. I knew her name was Eleanor Cheatham. We love her. And so, hey, Miss Cheatham, I'm your neighbor. come on inside. No, ma'am, it's COVID. I'm not worried about that. Fix me a drink. Let's sit down and talk. She's the Grand Dame of Birmingham is what we call her. Now our bestie.
Yeah.
And so when she initially met me the next day, I had a note in my mailbox that said, you and your girlfriend are to be at my house at said time in 2 days or whatever.
How old school.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I love that.
And so my at that time she was my girlfriend because she had just moved down right before COVID. She's throwing on dress after dress, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "Well, what am I wearing?" And I said, "Oh man, I don't know. I put it on jeans, cowboy boots, a jean shirt, and a suede buckskin jacket I got from Santa Fe. I'm gonna wear my rings, my turquoise rings.
You're gonna be you.
I'm just gonna be me. It's really what I want to be. I'm just gonna be me." And thinking as I'm walking down this hill to go back over to her or go to her house, rather, that she may go, "What the heck are you doing?" But instead, dear Eleanor goes, "I love it." And I said, "Eleanor, that's all I needed. So long as you like it, I'm going to be who I want to be for the rest of my life here." So I probably have 50 jean shirts.
What a gift.
Try to wear one every day. Get on planes now to go to the meeting. So I was just recently in Columbus, Ohio for a client. And I think I actually wore these pants because I had left the studio to go to the airport. And I just show up and go to the reception even in this. And people will go, "What the heck are you doing?" I go, "Hey, man, first and foremost, my client wants to know I'm in the room doing my deal. So if you were to get a call from them and they said, 'Was he in the room?' You would say, 'Oh, absolutely. I have these terrible pants on. I'm not here not to be noticed.'" But really, it's just who I am, right?
Yes.
And you find I don't need a lot.
Right.
We were talking about your cool pants.
Love these.
I don't need a lot.
Yeah.
A jean shirt is all I really need. Pair of pants. Like, I have more than I need. I'm blessed. I have a great wife. And so it's more about meeting people and try, I want to make affordable art that people can have and make all those connections. I really have so many friends around the country, some of which have said, "Hey, if you're passing through, you can crash at our house if that's what you want to do."
Yeah.
And
that's community.
That's what it's about, for me. And if I'm making somebody happy, I will admit I'm a baby child. So there's a degree of affirmation when someone says they like your stuff. And
yes.
that's,
Same.
Yeah. But there's also that drive and need to create. So oftentimes I won't really, for me, finish the painting. Someone will buy it and I'll, spin it as, "Well, that's what it's supposed to be. You get to finish the painting." But it's really, every day I want to create something new.
Right. And so thematically, you have a lot of Americana. I know you, how did you get into the cowboy kind of aesthetic?
So, well, I had a little pony when I was little.
Oh, you did?
I did,
in Charleston?
Yes, ma'am.
You had a pony in Charleston?
I did, an Icelandic pony, which is basically a miniature horse.
Yes. Okay.
Not much bigger than a large dog. And I was a baby child, so I could ride that horse a little longer than my middle brother. Got a great.
Did it live at your house?
No, we kept it at
my parents
kept it at a stable.
Okay.
So we had a Tennessee Walker, Rusty, and then this little white horse named Trigger, and little black saddle. My mom still has the saddle. I had a little black cowboy hat, as I recall. I think I did. She might correct me on that. We always watched Bonanza.
Okay.
So, and then another thing that really was in my mind as I paint cowboys, I always put a cigarette in.
Yeah.
And I've never smoked. My parents one day said, "What's the deal with cigarette?" And I said, "I don't know." And so we got to thinking about why I do it. Well, there was a minor league baseball team in my hometown of Charleston. It was the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball team.
Okay.
And in center field was the big Marlboro man.
Oh.
The red shirt with the brown vest slung over with a cigarette. And I guess that and Bonanza and all the other shows, what cowboy doesn't have a cigarette sort of thing? Gunsmoke, whatever. So all of that as a little boy really made an impact on me, I guess. And then as I got to traveling, I'm fortunate enough to be on an advisory board of a thing out in Santa Fe, New Mexico for my consulting gig. And was going out there and walked that Canyon Road, going all those great galleries and see some of the cowboy Native American stuff. Love the Native American culture and meeting those folks. And then I do a lot of jazz and kind of blues stuff from having gone to New Orleans or Mississippi. So it's kind of what's, what you take away from what you see.
Yeah.
And I don't reference too often like a photo. I'm clearly not a person that can paint you and it look like you, portrait artist. And I have a lot of requests for that, and I say it's not going to work. But if someone were to say, my father's a cowboy. Okay, tell me about your dad. You know, he started riding when he was 4. He was a sheriff. Da, da, da. I'm referencing a great lady, Paige, out in Dallas that's bought a few paintings from me. And I tried to paint her dad. In the first few strokes of the paintbrush, it kind of looks like them, but then I'm going to lose it. And so I did it. It took me a while, and I just gave her the painting and apologized. Hey, it doesn't look like your dad, and I don't want you to pay me. But if you will, just let me paint what I'm thinking about since you've told me about your father, and I'll send you that. And I did, and I used lyrics from a song that kind of spoke to me about what her dad was, according to her. And then she called me crying, and oh my God. And I said,
Wow.
yeah. And you know, not that I'm a great artist, but I just said, I'm an artist, so I can interpret something for you. I can't paint your dad, you know, it won't look like him, but I can paint something that references who your dad is, sort of thing. So I'm more that guy.
Right.
And I'm always asked to do commissions, and I actually have a backlog of them where that's hard. You know, that's like work.
Yeah.
It clogs an artist's mind, or certainly mine, because I want to create different stuff every day. But if somebody just says, I want a cowboy, or the young lady that was just saying, you know, I want the scene of the guy and the girl at the bar, great. Don't tell me what it's got to look like. Just kind of set me loose and let me do what I can deliver on that.
Right. When was the first time you introduced yourself as an artist?
Oh, geez. I promise you this is true. I was on a plane and I had my iPad, and it's called Sketchbook, I think is what that app is called. I was a late bloomer to the iPad, and I initially got it to do notes on a plane, and I thought, man, I'm working all the time. So I never played games or anything. So I found this deal where you could free app. I'm cheap, and it lets you draw with your finger, you know, and I just really got good at it. You can widen the line, you know, make it thicker, you can spray paint it, all this stuff. So I was just dabbling, and I got really good at it to where on a plane, before it would take off, I would have done 10 sketches. And this gentleman was sitting next to me. I remember I was flying to Florida, and I think Art Basel was going on at the time, but I was going for a meeting. And the guy next to me across, as we landed, he said, you know, where do you sell your art? I said, I don't, I'm just sketching. And he is the one that said, son, you're an artist. And I said, oh, no, sir, I'm not an artist at all. He said, no, you're an artist. And I thought, not really. And then you know, once I started painting and stuff, I went down to see an artist. I think his last name is Reinhardt. He's got several galleries on King Street. And I'd been going to Charleston, and every now and then would poke my head into his studio and talk to him. And he was selling a piece of art one day, and I walked by and I goes, oh, this is Kyle. He's an artist. And I thought, I'm not an artist. And so it wasn't that I had ever sold a piece or anything like that. I think really once I got in here and really started, you know, doing it. And then I was fortunate enough, there was a woman that found me. Um, she was from Oklahoma. Her name is Heidi. She is the person who first initially told me you should go to Round Top.
Okay. That was one of my questions was how did you get to
Round Top, Texas? I mean, you know what it is. It's great. It's art, it's creatives, it's clothing, it's high-end antiques, it's fields and fields of stuff out of barns. It's great. I didn't know what it was per se. I just heard of it. And so I was invited to go down there. And ultimately, after some time, went to my first ever show for 2 days. I took off from work at that time. I was working and painted for 2 days on tar paper with house paint. And it kind of caught on. I went back for 4 more days for a music festival there. And, you know, each time I made a profit, but I wasn't like setting it on fire. Well, then I committed to do the full 2-week show in October 23.
Wow.
And I just stood on the porch outside of a restaurant and painted whatever anybody asked me to paint. And because I paint fast, you know, I left there with a good chunk of money and came home. And as I remember, the woman that ran the facility where I was at said, you should quit work and just be an artist. And I said, my God, I can't do that. Well, as God moves, I ultimately was leaving work and being an artist. And by 2 more shows, October 24th. I was known in the community. You know, I have a funny name. It's Obnoxious Lil Shit, like Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
So that worked. And everyone was coming up to me, you know, saying I should change my name, you know, go by the artist Kyle or whatever. And I said, oh, hell, it works. I had a guy come up. He's covered in tattoos like Post Malone. He's a great jeweler, a guy named Cyrus Goodhart. He looks the part.
Really?
Oh, he looks like a rock star. And he comes up to me, and my first big show out there, I guess, was October 23, like we said. And he walks by, and I had bought new jeans, new boots. I wanted to look the part. And he walks by and takes the paint. And I go, what the heck?
He did?
Yeah, he did. I said, why did you do that?
Wow.
And he goes, you got to look the part, you know. You don't look.
Oh, he painted you.
Yeah, he's like, you don't.
He messed you up.
Yeah, you know, my pants, and so he and I later, we went to lunch on Hinkle Square, which is a little square, and we walk into this barbecue joint right there on the square, and this gentleman turns around and goes, "My God, fellas, you're gonna love it here. This is the best barbecue." Da da da. And I walked up and I said, "Oh, hey, Rick," and kind of looks at me, and I took my cowboy hat off, and I go, "I'm Kyle. You know, I used to work in D.C." Da da da. And he, "Oh yeah, hey, how you doing?" And so we sat down and had lunch with former governor of Texas, Rick Perry. And because I had known him through the years.
Sure.
And so when we leave, Cyrus is like, oh my God, you know, you're a baller. You know all these people. And I go, well, in my world, I'm comfortable. And in your world, you're comfortable. This is a new world to me. So when you like put the paint all over me, you know, this is all new to me.
Sure.
And now, of course,
now it's part of the uniform.
Yeah.
And you own it.
And he was right. Yeah. You know, you had to own it. So it took a while, but ultimately, yeah, I would call myself an artist. Or paint slinger.
Right. But did you have a moment where you because I think there are a lot of creatives who come to it later in life, and you have it in your head and you may be producing some things, but you are reticent to ever call yourself that.
Yeah. Well,
but you may not have had that experience.
No, I probably did. I'm very fortunate. I have the best wife ever.
Yeah.
She's great. Just great. And she has said some great things to me, you know, over the years that really support me. But sometimes I'm like, hey, you know, are you okay with me going to Round Top and painting whatever? Yeah, because I'm here to have you be your best you, you know, and this is what you were created to be. She actually probably tells my story much better than me, but she's like, you know, this is who you are, you know. So if I wear this crazy outfit to dinner because we're running late and I go, I'm just going to wear this. She's like, great. You know, be who you are.
But how beautiful that she met you in your prior chapter and could see through all that to see who you needed to be.
Yeah. Oh, she's awesome.
That's
the
rare.
sweetest. So the sweetest thing anyone has ever said to me, look, living in DC is a Shark Tank. So when people come in and I give them a painting, they're surprised. They're like, oh, you're
what's the catch?
Well, no, they'll go, oh, you're so nice. I go, not really. I said, look, for 35 years, you know, I was
a shark.
Yeah.
In the tank.
Yeah. And you're biting before someone bites you. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. So, you know, to some degree, I'm trying to make up for, you know,
assuage some guilt.
But my wife one day, and it's the greatest thing anyone has ever said to me, she just said, you have a beautiful mind. Is that not awesome?
That's amazing.
That's a keeper.
Yes.
And you know, because you're like a 12-year-old boy, your brain's going all over, but you know, she lets me be me, you know. And a lot of people would try to contain that or tell you, you know, go back and do this or do that. And she's like, just go do what you know, the blessing in all of this is I was able to save my money traveling.
Right.
And not want for, you know, anything, because I don't really want anything, to where I can come in here and I'm going to create these anyway, whether or not I sell them, whether or not I had this gallery, I'm going to paint every day because I live in Mountain Brook, Alabama, which is a great place.
Yep.
But there's snakes and there's pine straw and, you know, yards with snakes and pine straw.
Yes.
And so you can only do so much in that yard.
Right.
Whereas in Virginia, that was my creative outlet, working in my yard. So that not being available to me, and having found the art thing, this is my outlet.
And you're very physical when you paint. I mean,
I paint standing up, leaning over,
right.
which is not great for my back. I can tell you, it's like playing Twister.
Mm-hmm.
And I played college baseball. Not that I was, Joe DiMaggio, but I played up until I was 30 and in different leagues in DC and never experienced, shoulder pain,
Uh-huh.
hand pain, knee pain, anything. Tried to work out, never experienced anything bad other than, obviously pacemaker, but painting is killing me.
Really?
Well, I'm standing on concrete
Sure.
every day. So, my hips hurt, my knees hurt.
Right.
I've discovered, my hands are changing from holding the brush.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing it for 5-6 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But unfortunately, I've shipped them all over the country so far.
Mm-hmm. So what is your exercise routine that keeps you in shape to do this?
Well, I don't eat a lot.
Okay.
My wife's vegetarian, so
Okay.
a much cleaner eater. She's great for me. My God, I'm blessed. But we try to go to the gym, most days.
Okay. Okay. Because I mean, I'm 56, and so I see it in a lot of people in our age range. They've either done the work to stay fit so that they can pursue what they want to pursue, or they've just kind of given up, or they're somewhere in between. And I think there's such that strong connection between mind body.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's if you're doing something you love.
Yes.
It's not work, right?
Right.
I mean, this isn't work. I don't love always doing a commission, so I'm working on that in the sense that I don't mind doing them.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, if I can do whatever I want to do, but being able to just be creative, meet people, that'll keep you young. I
Sure.
think do something you love.
Well, it's that curiosity.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, I think
Absolutely.
curiosity is an age retardant.
And I've been going around, I get different opportunities to meet great people. I have been very fortunate and blessed to have been invited to Round Top the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And the folks I met there, initially when I went, I only knew one person that I knew when I got to Round Top, population 100. I think they get 100,000 people during the 2-week thing. And I got there and I knew no one. I didn't know where I was going as I was driving. I thought, oh my God, what am I doing? But I knew one person. His name is Alan. I'm sorry, Alan, I don't know his last name. I can't recall it right now. But he has a company called Thunderbird Hats.
Oh, yes.
So he makes hats in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I met him initially. And then he also has this great gig out in Round Top, Texas. Like he's the linchpin of this one venue. And he makes amazing hats. He's awesome. He can make it look old. Awesome. And I knew him. And through him, I met Stuart Colgate, who makes Chimayo jackets. I met Cyrus Goodhart, who makes this great jewelry. I met Manuel, if you know Manuel, the couture that Hank Williams and all of them wore.
Yes.
I think he actually made James Dean's outfit, the Gino and Jean look.
Okay.
I met his son, Manny. I met all these folks my first time there. And then from that have met many, many more who are dear friends. And, in the vintage world, the folks that go out and curate awesome vintage, artists, great artists, creatives that make clothing. I mean, I can name several. There's a woman, Lady Lancaster, out of Pennsylvania, takes old antique Amish quilts and makes jackets out of them, and then all this other kind of material. She and the people that work for her are amazing. I met a young woman.
I've been to her shop, the quilted jacket.
This one is
shop.
awesome.
Yeah.
If you haven't, you should.
Yeah.
Met a young girl named Mackenzie who makes, I think hers is Simplice, Semplice. She makes polos.
Okay.
But she's getting them on Lainey Wilson and on Ella Langley.
Right. Yeah, you name it.
Yeah. Have had really cool experiences with folks who knew actors who, hey, we should get one of these paintings to an actor or, singers or whatever. So I'm meeting all these great experiences, right?
Sure.
I had my history of meeting cool people doing the political thing, but what I learned the takeaway from my 30 years in DC, and like I said, I still do it. So I get in, get out when I have the meetings. All my friendships or relationships were based around work. And the first question was always, what do you do?
Right.
Or who do you work for? And then you find out that, I mean, I do have some dear friends from that period of my life, but for the most part, it was either what can I do for you or what can you do for me?
Sure.
And in my role as a lobbyist, it was generally what, what can I do for you? And you find out that once you step out of that arena, your phone's not ringing. You're not getting a text. And that was the difficulty of when I left work, when I left corporate, the phone wasn't ringing and the texts weren't coming. And I was used to being on that hamster wheel. And so I kind of got back in it a little bit with the consulting, but for the most part, once I found this and I got over here and started seeing people every day, that's what I missed, the interaction of meeting people. All right. So then
does it feel more authentic?
That's what I was going to say. So now I've scratched that itch of meeting people and talking and conversating and learning about people. But now it's a whole different ballgame. What I'm talking to these folks about is life. What I was talking to someone there about was, how does a bill get passed or killed, right?
Yeah. Making a living.
Oh yeah. And folks always ask me, what was being a lobbyist like? Well, if it was good for what I was representing, we passed it. If it was bad, we killed it. If we couldn't, we amended it, and there it was. Whereas on this side of the coin, it's all good. I'm just here to have fun and
enjoy the ride.
Absolutely. And I'm not looking to get fame, that, not that I ever would, but there are certain people that are looking to get famous or looking to make a bunch of money. That's not my gig at all.
Right.
I'm just looking to have fun.
Yep. So and that was one of my questions was, what are some of the traits that or skills that you had from your last chapter that you bring into this one? It sounds like it's connection more than anything.
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I don't know, probably using my imagination.
Yeah.
I would sit in congressional hearings and where most people were just doing their notes and kicking them back. I worked for a large association, so you had all these people that were getting your notes or what have you. And I found at a point I would just draw the congressional panel, cartoon them on my iPad.
Do you find that you listen better when you?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm the same way. If I'm on a Zoom call, I like to doodle where people can't see it.
Well, I'm probably self-diagnosed with severe ADD at this point. I mean, my brain is all over. To watch me paint, I typically have 10 going at one time. And I'd like to tell you that's to use the same paint on, if you're doing red on a painting, you'll get the red over there. That's not, I'm just doing 10 at
You're just slinging. Time.
But when I think it was 12 years, I had a particular boss the last 12 years I was in DC. And, we'd have these exec meetings every Tuesday or Thursday, whatever it was. And I sat far away and the last person on the table there. And then I had my iPad and I would just sketch doing it, and the whole time. And I think it annoyed him to the extent that, he told the COO one day to come talk to me and her name was Lori. And I said, Lori, I just listen better like that. So then the next meeting I'm doing and he said something like, Kyle, and I could repeat it verbatim.
Right.
And it could always do it verbatim because I just was
That's the way your brain works. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how well my brain works, but so, in lobbying, there's a degree of creation, right? You're creating the outcome or you're finding a way to satisfy different parties or what have you. So I love that part of my career. When it wasn't there, that ability to create, then it was doldrum.
Okay.
Same thing here, you're creating something. My brother teases me a lot, my oldest brother, he'll say your art doesn't look exactly like the photograph. And I explain to him, well, it's the interpretation of what I see out in the world through my eyes, right? And I'm not trying to make it perfect. And I'm just trying to express what is in my head. So,
and that's what works.
Yeah. Well, sometimes,
yeah.
Hopefully,
yeah. And the other thing that I noticed about the way you work is that it's also portable.
Yes. Portable isn't like taking it.
Like, no, when you go and you do pop-ups in places or to go to Round Top, like you're taking work you've already done.
I am. Yeah. So I'm not, I'm not framing my work. So, I don't present.
It's raw.
It's raw. Yeah. So am I. Look at this. It's terrible. I want that, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm painting cowboys, and it occurred to me the other day, someone said, is that raw canvas? I'm like, yeah, that really fits what I'm trying to do. Like, it's raw. Cowboys should be raw. Who wants to define cowboy, right?
Yeah.
there are a lot of, it teach their own, you know, there are a lot of great artists. They're probably their background is, graphic design. They're very graphic oriented. I wish I could do that. Those seemingly are the ones that are really get famous. Not that, you know, I'm looking to do that, but like I'm not that at all. I'm just slinging the paint on there, you know, like a gunslinger, paint slinger. I'm really, and I want, like, if I'm in a gallery and I want to go look at art, if something's so perfect, I'll scan it, right? You know, great art. I scan it because it looks like that. But if I see something like there's Cezanne, right? He's got a nick or a this or that. You look at it, you're like, wow, and you get up close and it's just like a glob of paint. And then you step back from it and it's the knuckle, right? And you're like, did he just glob paint there? Did he intentionally make that mark? Like I love that. And no, not that I can achieve that, but people will come in and go, I like seeing the brush strokes, or I like the rawness of it, or I like the openness of it, or the looseness of it. I had a friend, artist in town, and he came over and was looking at my art. He said, you know, for me to do this, I would have to paint with my left hand because he's right-handed. He said, I'm so used, and he's chasing, you know, he does perfect art, great artist. You would know him. But he said, you know, Kyle, I can't do that because I want it to be perfect. And I said, see, I don't want it to be perfect. And I've met other artists. I met two in Round Top this last time I was there is March. So we have a show coming up in October. And they were great artists, far superior to what I'm doing. And they hadn't sold anything to the point where I had met them. And I kind of gave them my thoughts on here's the deal. The woman I referenced her earlier, Heidi, she told me before I ever went to Round Top, she said, you might could do a $10,000 painting. I don't believe that, but she said you might could do one. But let me just tell you, I've been in business a long time, and there's mass and there's class. And
mass and class,
right? So mass, 250 to 2,500, 1,500. People are comfortable there, and then there's class. You know, they might spend $1 million, but for me to get $1 million for a painting, I'd have to meet 500 million people, right? So I went after the mass, and I paint them fast, and you know, keep them affordable and move them and make friends. And I call them repeat offenders. You know, I have these folks that come back each time when I'm in Round Top, and I get to hug them. And, hey, what's going on?
That's
you know, tell me about your kid or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're buying multiple paintings because they're affordable. Right. And they're large size paintings for not so much of a price. I have this great life mentor, I call her, 76-year-old woman out of Texas, Mayfair, which if I ever write a book, she'll be a star character. Mayfair. Mayfair is a great name. And she gives
her name is Mayfair. She lives in Mayfair.
Her name is Mayfair. And she gives me a hard time. Mayfair, much like my neighbor Eleanor, the 90-year-old, they just say what they want to say. And she wants me to move my price point up, and she wants me to do series. And, you know, she's always after me, you know, it's got to be 4 same size series, frame them, da-da-da. And she's been after me for a few years. I've only been doing it, you know, maybe 4. And then she finally relented and said, I get it. You know, there's like the band, and then there's like the garage band. And you just are comfortable being the garage band. I said, yeah, you know, I'm not looking to chase stardom. I'm not that I could achieve it, but you know, it would be great to be in a gallery.
Right.
But what's that mean? That means you're doubling your price.
And you're giving
the gallery's
half away.
Taking half of it, but you're also, you know, I guess the theory for real artists, I guess, the theory is it pushes your price up and it gives you a level of affirmation. You get a CV that says you did all this stuff. I did a lot of stuff in DC. I had a great CV. I did a lot of stuff. That and $1 would get me a Slurpee, right? Nobody cares. Right. And I don't care about that.
Well, so what does success look like for you in this chapter?
Precisely what happened this morning. Someone came in that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And you saw the interaction. She was waiting at the front when I walked in. She said, hey, I'm from Nashville. I'm about to go catch a plane. My friend bought something for my daughter's roommate or whatever. She came back here looking at the paintings. I get to give her one because we were about to set up. And, you know, she wanted to pay. I'm like, I don't need you to pay. You know, just take the painting, come back and see me later. I think she wants me to paint something. But that success for me is like, I touched somebody. They touched somebody that came to see me. Hopefully I'll get her the painting she ultimately wants. She's happy with the painting I gave her today that I scribbled yesterday. in advance of this. So it's like circles of, your concentric circles of people. And in the lobby world, when you are hiring consultants to tell you how to do it and all that crap, I've been through that. It's these concentric circles. How do you get to this congressman? Let's go out and make a plan. We'll find these people that know these, all this baloney. And I always revolted against that. I was like, this is baloney. We're spending $1 million to get a consultant to tell us how to make a relationship with somebody. So it's relationship building. And I am merely at this point in this career, if you will, making true relationships.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you, if God calls me home tomorrow, there are not many people in DC flying to, there may be one who used to work for me who might open it and be like, hopefully she'll say something nice about me. But other than that,
okay.
It's just different world. Whereas here, I feel like I have made great friends. And my wife, again, great. She lets me go to Round Top for 2.5 weeks.
I know, it's crazy. Like I'll follow you on Instagram and you're like, yeah, heading out. And I just admire that relationship so much.
And there's such great people out there. I'm unconventional, obviously, as to how I'm doing this. I roll these up with a pool noodle.
Okay.
So that's how I keep the canvases from crumpling. And then the tar paper and the Ramboard get stacked.
Sure.
And I just go out there.
Yeah, it's portable.
No real big setup or anything. I take some paints or whatever, buy them when I'm out there. I stay with a dear friend named Greg, who is the antithesis of me. He's a country boy.
Really?
Oh my God.
That was my question, was where do you stay? Because Round Top
gets expensive.
Yeah, and it can be packed.
Yeah, and it does.
There for that long.
And I'm very fortunate. When I first went out there, the woman that owned the venue, 550 Market, where I was at for 4 shows, Kathy, she let me stay at her house. And then I found in October 24, maybe, or maybe even March, I was driving back to her house, and lots of the artists stayed there, and I was swerving so bad because I started painting it most days 9 o'clock in the morning, and I would finish at midnight because the venue closed at midnight, and then I would stay until like 1, putting all the stuff back in my car. I'd have paintings everywhere, and was driving back, and I swerved again. I thought, oh my God, I don't even know if I'm going to get back to her house.
Wow.
I was so tired. I was so happy when I got to her house, and I thought, never again. And so I asked my buddy who had a camper. He does all the security. He's a constable from the town over. I said, do you mind if I just stay in your trailer? And he said, well, all I have is a recliner. I said, all I need. And so I had the most restful night's sleep. And the next day, Kathy asked him, said, what do you mean he didn't come back to the house? And he stayed. He's like, that boy, when he hits that recliner, it wouldn't matter if it was made of stone. He's so tired.
Wow.
So now, for many shows now, I just stay with him. And it's great because, like I said, he is.
But you stay in a camper?
Well, it's like a RV.
Okay.
And he is the quintessential country boy. He's a farmer. He's a fireman. He's a constable.
And what brings him to Round Top?
He is the head.
Security?
His company runs the security for the venues.
Right.
And so it'll be 11, and I'll be painting, or maybe now I'm at a different venue. So he may text me and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna start dinner." It's like 11 at night.
That's funny.
So he'll go back there and set the fire. Gets this black iron skillet that's got all the gunk in it from the night before.
Sure.
He wash up, throws something on there. And when I say country, I mean he'll say, go get some green peppers, onions, buy a steak or whatever, and he'll chop it all up, put it in there. It just looks like dog food. And
it tastes so good.
Oh my God. Well, I can't eat that late at night. But I mean,
but that's when you could eat steak. You don't eat steak at home.
I don't eat steak at home, no. Okay. But he's making this stuff, and then, I don't necessarily like beer. He'll just drink a couple of beers, and he's like, "Oh, you want some brown water?" Which is how it says whiskey. I'm like, "Oh my God, Greg, it's like 1 a.m, And I'll get in that recliner, and then he'll sit in the one next to me. And his bedroom's over there. And then sometimes he has cops that work for him. And they'll sleep in the back room, and I'm in this recliner. And he'll be talking, and he'll still be eating. It can be 2:00. He's still eating and talking. And I'm dozing.
And you're out cold.
Oh my God. I'm dozing off, and I can't keep up.
That's amazing.
And I'll do that for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Solid 2 weeks. And then I'll stay a couple days, or at least one day after the show ends, to get freshed up, and then drive back. It's a 2-day
2-day drive.
Back.
Yeah.
And so,
so you're headed back in October.
Go back in October.
Okay.
In betwixt that, I am being flown to Lubbock, Texas on, I think it's July 24th.
Okay.
Dear friends there are flying me out, and I'll paint at what's called the Cattle Barons Ball.
Oh, you're doing Cattle Barons Ball.
In Lubbock.
Wow.
Which I've never been to Lubbock.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I think so. And it's for cancer.
Sure.
Right. And so we'll arrange how I may fly a few of these out there or send them or whatever, but then I'll paint live on the spot for the fundraiser or whatever. Hopefully they come out all right. And then in August, there is a deal in Byhalia, Mississippi, if you've ever heard of that.
Okay.
I never had, but they're doing like
August?
In August.
In
it's
Mississippi.
Called the Croft Show, Croft, the Croft Show.
Okay.
And they are putting together at this venue kind of a round top-esque deal like in Mississippi.
Okay.
Called the Croft Show.
Okay.
Where
is it? Is it like coastal?
No, I don't know much about it other than I was asked to. I had done the double-decker show in Oxford, Mississippi, and for the second time. And I guess my art's a little different than what typically is there. So I had 2 really great shows.
Mm-hmm.
In the second show, I was asked by somebody, "Hey, would you want to participate in this?" So it's going to be a big deal. They have a lot of vendors. There's another.
I need to put that on my calendar.
Yeah, and I could put you in contact with folks because it would be cool. I guess this is the first one or maybe the second one they've done. So hopefully I have a great show there. Yeah. But what that means for me is I've got to, kind of build up inventory. In August, there's the Golden Age Wine place downtown. I think it's called Golden Age Wine Alley. So they feature an artist once a month. So in August, I'll hang maybe 8 paintings down there.
Okay.
So I'll try to figure out what those will be, do the show in August for the Croft Show, and then in October we'll go down to Round Top.
That's amazing.
A little busy.
It feels good though, doesn't it?
It does, and again, my wife's very kind to let me chase all of this, and I tease her some days, go, just quit working. Well, she's like, really? She not, and I don't mean that.
Right.
She's the healthcare for me.
Yeah.
But she allows me to be me, and hopefully I'm allowing her to be her and chase her dream. She's brilliant. So very blessed in that regard. And then
what's the secret to a great marriage?
Yes, honey. Well, so she's 19 years younger. So I tease her all the time and tell her, whatever I got to do, chores, you kind of tell me, and she does. Like I said, she tells me I'm like a 12-year-old, but I will be 80 when she's 61.
Right.
So it occurs to me I should be very nice to her.
Yeah.
Because when I'm 80, I need her to care enough.
Exactly, to help you out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's crazy that,
But the age difference
she
works.
Likes me. It does. She's very mature, and I'm very much a child. So, reverse. Perfect. Yeah. But,
that's awesome.
They say you become more childlike as you get older, right?
Sure. Yes.
In the worst of ways.
Yeah.
So at 80, I really need her to.
You really need some help.
I need her to like me enough to, do the things that are necessary at that point. But she's great, and it's really chasing a dream together. Whatever that dream might be. At some point, maybe you build a house somewhere that really fits you.
Sure.
You put the building in the back that you go to and you do your paintings or whatever.
But you would miss this. That's
the thing, this is a godsend.
Yeah.
I might have jumped off my roof. Otherwise, I was getting off
your brand new roof.
Oh, yes, that's right. When it's but going through, the hamster wheel and always being on the go. Some days I remember getting promoted in DC and calling my brother, crying. Literally crying, and him going, "What the hell?" Pardon my language. And I'm
obnoxious little shit. Pardon your language.
And he's like, "What? Why?" And I was telling him all this stuff. It wasn't like I got promoted. I'm so happy. I'm crying. I was just like, "Oh my God." And he's like, "Dude, like you are like this terrible. You're like a guy that's an alcoholic, but you don't drink. Your thing is being on a hamster wheel working."
Yeah.
He's like, my God.
That's what you were addicted to.
It was just, I was, I left every day. I would just come home, open the door, I lived in Old Town Alexandria, Virginia. And so, you had to slide the door, they'd chunk the mail in. I'd come home to my house and it would just be all this, oh yeah, and I'd back it up and whatever was not a bill. I could have won $1 million. Whatever didn't say bill, I just threw away. Didn't even look at it, just threw it away.
That's
and then
not a life.
I'd set the bills on the counter. I'd go upstairs. I'd, flip suitcase or whatever. I would pay the bills on the way out because I don't like paying bills. He does. So I pay him quickly so you don't have to realize what you're shelling out there.
Right.
And then back in a plane. And, the only fun part was, I had these friends that were business associates, some of which are dear friends, but, you're going to conferences and what have you. And then you had that break. And I'm very dear friends with a woman that used to be the COO at the place I worked at. Ironically, we fought like cats and dogs for many years, but she's great. And I would go to a city I loved, Austin, Texas. At a time was so cool. South Congress, I had the Continental Club and all that. And I'd be there and I would have just landed. I would take that 6:00 flight on a Saturday morning when my meeting was, 5:00 conference it's Saturday or whatever. So I get there early. I get to South Congress.
You get the whole day.
Oh, I get to Guero's, which is right on South Congress. It's like amphitheater, free chips, free margarita, whatever. Pay for your margarita. You're sitting there. It's noon. Band's cranking up, and you're like, okay, just one little respite, and then get the call, and it's like, well, you had said you could do this, that, and the other, and this bill's going to mark up, and so and so, and da da da, and can you fly back? And I literally recall one time I teased her.
That would make me cry.
Oh my God, I would flail. People thought I had Tourette's syndrome. I would be flailing, kicking, screaming, cussing. People would walk by me on the phone and I would be so mad. Like, oh my God. And I'd go back and, try to get something done that I've been saying I could do for like a year, right? And it's like, well, it didn't happen. Do you really think you can do it in 24 hours? And then, fly back and now the conference is going. So you're like in the deal there. And I was convinced that's why I got the pacemaker. It's actually probably hereditary, but when that episode happened, I think I'm just worn out.
Yeah.
I think I'm just tired. And they're like, no, that's not the case. But I did that for so many years. And now, people that I have known for 30 years will say to me, I hear it all the time. It's crazy. You look so relaxed, or you're so relaxed. I went to dinner with a dear friend in Columbus, Ohio, who I've known for damn near 30 years. And we're sitting there, fellow lobbyist, and she says, of all the years, like seeing you over the last week, you're so relaxed. Like, we're all talking about it. And I go, well, you and I were talking about it. Your give a damn meter.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And then I don't have the pressures of all the stuff, right? I have clients, they trust me to do what they need to do. I endeavor to do. I've always been that person. And then I'm much more relaxed, And I told her, I said, Liz, I don't want anything.
Yeah.
I want us to be safe and have great life, but
right. It's not, you're not looking for the next car, the next flashy vacation, the next.
When I retired, this is so, this will tell you everything you need to know about
me.
I retired. I have a guy back home, Will. So I'm retired. I don't think I'm going to go back in and dive back into corporate life. Hell, I knew I wasn't. So I call him. I'm like, look, tell me how this is going to work. So, he is my wealth guy. So he calls and he says, okay, we need to set up a meeting and we'll put you on the phone with whatever her name is, Susie, who's going to tell you, what you can draft and all this stuff. We get on the phone and he starts out, he goes, now Kyle is not like our normal client. So what do you mean? You'll see. And so we're on this thing, and there's Will, who's the personal, in that relationship when you retire, he's your
yes, he's your guy.
And then you've got the guy who's managing your money, who's going to tell you, and I don't care what you do, just don't go backwards.
Right. And make this turn into this.
And then there's the woman who's going to tell you how you would draft off if you need all this. And so she starts out and she goes, okay, so goals? I go, what do you mean? She's like, well, you want a second home? I'm like, oh dear God.
Oh God, no, there's one more thing to manage.
I don't really like the one I have. You know?
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. She, Will's kind of laughing. She, car? I go, oh my God. Lady, I don't give a darn about a car. I bought a truck, don't even like it, but it's the only thing that gets up my hill, my driveway. And she starts like, boat? I go, dear God, no. I said, look, here's the deal. I don't care if you make 2% on my money. Right? Like, doesn't bother me. Like, just don't make negative 2.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that. And then I am going to live my life with the consulting and with the art. And, if I had to, I can get through a day for $5 a day,
Sure.
Crackers and a Coke. Like, I'm just going to do that.
Yeah.
Whatever, if I make $1 million doing this, great. If I make 5, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to every day be happy and do my thing. And I don't want any of that stuff. Now, I will tell you, living in Mount Brook's a tough go.
Sure.
Merely because it's 10 times more than outside of Mount Brook to get anything done.
Right.
Renovate a bathroom. It's crazy.
Right.
But it's a great place to live.
Safe.
It's great. Yes. I can go away and my wife is safe.
Yes.
And she's 12 minutes from work. So there's blessings in that. Yeah. I'm 12 minutes away from this gallery.
That's the joke about Birmingham is you could be anywhere you want to be in 15 minutes.
Oh, it's great. I mean, it truly is. And as we were talking to the woman from Nashville, it's going to be discovered. It's been discovered, but I mean, it will be what Nashville is.
Right.
In 10 or 15
right.
Years, I'm
Hopefully
sure.
We can manage that.
Yeah. And that is it's all about location.
Sure.
Right? But I don't really want anything.
So
my
you got what you want.
Yeah, my oldest brother loves to give me a hard time. Like, oh my God, you're dressed like you're 12. I'm like, who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, give a shit or has gone out.
That's it. I mean, I love that.
Yeah.
You should make a shirt out of that.
I know. All right. So how did you get the name Obnoxious Lil Shit?
Okay.
Because everybody's going to want to know that.
So.
Let me just say this too. I've wanted to write about you for a number of like national publications. And like, that's the hitch is that I can't
get that name.
I know.
Oh, well, so here's what happened.
Tell us.
I was in North Dakota. Swear this is true. I was in North Dakota. I landed, had a meeting, get my rental car. I'm driving, and I passed by, just acreage, and it's an exotic animal, a giraffe, whatever it was. I'm like, what the hell? And I drove down a little further. It's like a zebra. There was all. In
North Dakota.
North Dakota. It was literally. It's either north or south. It was one of the two.
It's a Dakota.
I think it was North Dakota.
Okay.
And I'm just like, what? This is nuts. And come to find out, it was just some guy that had all this acreage and created his own like exotic thing out there, right? But I pulled over at a woman that worked for me who was younger, Ashley, and I called back and I said, hey, like, how do you get this Instagram thing? Because I'm old. I got it. I didn't have an Instagram. And she's like, oh my God, you're so old. And I said, well, what I need to do. So she walks me through it. And she's like, you got to come up with a name and a password. I'm like that. So Kyle Rogers, all, anything.
Any permutation.
All taken.
Yeah.
I had a coach in high school. We went to the state football, thing when I was in high school. And I went to they were making buttons. So you would get a button with your face or name, your thing from the handbook they handed out.
Yeah.
And it would have your number, your face, and then your name.
Mm-hmm.
And you gave it to your girlfriend or your mom or whatever. So my buddy gets his, Scott Hines, and it said Scott Hines. And then I get mine, and God rest his soul, his coach's name, David Reese. He was awesome. And he hands me my button, and it said OLS. And I look at it, and I look at Scotty, and I go, Coach, my name's not Oles, it's Rogers. And he goes, my God, Kyle, I know your damn name, but you're an obnoxious little shit. And so my buddy, who was a couple years behind, I probably was a junior, he was a freshman. He goes and buys me the most random, for my birthday, bought me this random sweatshirt. It was Notre Dame, white, he got Notre Dame. You go in the mall and get them stuck on it. And then had OLS in the back and bet me I wouldn't wear it for like a week solid at school. And so I had that name.
Okay.
And then here I am in North Dakota, umpteen years later, and I think, oh hell, I'll just use Obnoxious Lil Shit. And so to make certain that the permeation wasn't going to be taken, I just used LIL, like Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
And so it's Obnoxious Lil Shit. It
resonates.
Well, I had a site.
Yeah.
And all I was doing at first was just posting funny pictures. And then it became, I was drawing every day and put like a little sketch on it. And then when I started doing art or paintings, I would just take a picture and stick it up there. And as it went along, and now I'm an artist and I'm posting it, everyone's like, change that name, which maybe that's what I should do. But I
don't know.
The coolest thing is I have these great friends that I've met in Round Top who will ride down the road. And if I set up at a new venue 2 shows ago and they're riding down the road and they didn't know I was there, and you hear, and, or if I go down to like the square in Round Top, people will go, hey, so it works.
That's awesome.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to, be the guy out there that has a CV this long about what great art I'm making. I'd rather be the fun guy.
Yeah. The obnoxious little shit.
That's it.
That's awesome.
It fits. And I paint a lot of different subjects, so it's obnoxious.
Yeah. All right. So what question did I not ask you today, or did you think I was going to ask?
I think you did pretty darn good.
Okay, we got a lot.
The one thing I would say is, my mom and dad, a lot of times I feel to say this, but my mom and dad were very artistic. My dad's got a couple of paintings hanging in the house that he did, I guess, when he was much younger, that are really cool. Like one is I think it's a salmon. It's really cool. And then my mom was always doing art, always. So, my dad would cut stuff out of wood and she'd paint it and stuff like that. So a lot of it came from them as well, just being exposed to.
What were their professional careers?
So my dad worked for his father and they owned motels when I was much younger, which is a whole other thing. Because I got to experience all the baseball teams that came in to play those minor league teams. They would all stay at my dad's motel, and I'd leave a little ball up there, and they'd sign them, and then those guys would become professional players. And then he was ultimately a commercial realtor. And then my mom had the most important job that any woman could ever have. She was a stay-at-home homemaker for 3 rambunctious, wouldn't begin to describe it, boys. And if I was... I had a boss, this one that was the last 12 years in DC, and he took us off-site, the executives, and we had to take the Myers-Briggs.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And then we took this other one called the Firo B or something like that. They give it to you before you get in a nuclear sub. And then we were asked all these personal questions. And I remember they were like, who are your heroes? It was weird. Who are your heroes or whatever. And I said my mom and dad. And they just kind of looked at me because, somebody said Bruce Springsteen because it's like, whatever. And I go, my mom and dad. And they kind of looked at me. I said, let me tell you, if I got to go in a foxhole, like if I was a soldier and you dropped me off of the helicopter and I didn't trust the guy I was with, I might shoot him and go it alone.
Right.
My mom and dad, you get in the foxhole with my mom and dad, particularly my mom, game on, man.
Yeah.
Like she'll have your back no matter what. And that is,
that's awesome.
And that's my wife, she got your back no matter what.
Yeah.
I always tell her, my mom's name is Tootie. I'm always like, I married little Tootie. And then my mom calls me Jason.
Your mom calls you Jason?
Well, she calls me Babe because I'm the baby, but she also will call me Jason, which is my first name, Jason Kyle. And when she's mad. When I was little, but now she just uses Jason. And my wife calls me Jason.
Oh, when she's mad?
No, just calls
in
me
general?
Jason because you hear my mom say it. So
that's hilarious.
Jason. I'll be like, how many times? So I tell her I've married someone like my mom. We have a lot of the same traits.
That could be a great thing.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. My mom, I tell you, you go to war, you want Tootie Rogers on your side. Tootie. I've got. Awesome. Oh my God, I could go.
I know. We probably should wrap.
Yeah,
but yes.
I will tell you. This is the last thing.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why am I obnoxious little shit? Okay. So I was drawing on the
good stuff always comes at the end.
It's just the end. So I was sketching. I had a house, like I said, in Virginia, and I came home one day, and there was a nest.
Nest?
Of mockingbirds.
Oh.
And I kept checking on that nest. And I came home one day in a suit, back in the day when we wore suspenders and all that. And I come to look at my birds, and they're not in the nest, but they're on the ground at my feet. I didn't know it. And they go scattering. And I lived on a road, so they get out in the road and I'm out there. Oh my God, DC gets so hot, right? And I have my jacket, I'm swinging it so the cars will stop, and I'm trying to get these little birds back in my yard. All right, so they scamper back in there. And the next day I go back, I can't find them. They're gone. All right, so maybe 2-3 weeks later, I'm going to eat on my back patio, and this bird gets next to my foot. And he follows me. And every day he's back there and he gets wings. He's sitting. And so I named him Grady because when I first saw him, he just had a few things, So I was sketching Grady. And when I would go to these meetings, I would just tell my mom, Grady and I are packing up to Pennsylvania or whatever. And I'd make little funny stories about Grady. And I would send them back home. And then my mom, I'd text them. Then my mom would read them to my grandmother, who was at that time in a assisted living. All right, fast forward. My mom's going to kill me, but that's okay. So they are on to me about, you should write a book. So I go home and I have written some chapters of my book. And I still have this. I had drawn my mom who, when I was younger, had blonde hair and, fingernails and all that stuff. And I drew her kind of comically from the side, and she's going to kill me. Oh my God. It said,
we can edit it out if we have to.
So it's the side of her face and a character.
The profile.
It's like this. And it says, I live this shit. And then in parentheses, it said, stories my mama don't want me to tell. All right. So I go home, and I was always, when I would visit my grandma, my mom was always, my mom saw her every day for hours. And so we're sitting there, and I said, Granny, I started the book, and it's called this. And my mom just kind of shakes her head. My mom's in the corner reading a Southern Living magazine or Colonial Home, whatever. And so my granny's laying in the bed, and I said, so I wrote this first chapter. Essentially, it was when I was, when I was 5 years old, my mom made me mad, so I decided to run away. And I go upstairs. I take my red chest of drawers, I take my stuff out, put it in my pillowcase, come downstairs, and there stands my mom. And through my slobber and tears, move, lady, I'm running away. And my mom says, hey, that's fine, but you came in my life with nothing, you'll leave with nothing. And my mom strips me and puts me on the front stoop. And I had embellished.
Stripped down?
I had written, my mom strips me, puts me on the front stoop, and I sketched it. And I'm like, but then the girl next door rode by on her tricycle. I'm like, hey, you want to play? And my mom's get back in here. So I made it all up at that point. Right? And I'm reading it to my granny, and she's giggling. And my mom is in the corner with the book, and she's shaking her head. And I look at her, and I tell my granny, look, what is she doing? Oh my God. I said, she's crazy. I said, Mom, what is the issue? Never happened. I go, oh my God. She's like, never happened. I go, Mom, I think I would know my life. Now, I embellished about, going outside with the girl. Hey,
sure.
Never happened. And I go, oh my God, are you crazy? And she goes, call your brother. I have two. And she told me which one to call. My middle brother. Call your brother. I call him out of the blue. I go, hey, Bo, do you remember when Mom told me if I was running away, strip me, but it never happened? And my mom heard me say, she told you. I go, what? He goes, no, dude, that happened to me. I was probably 8. I said, we had a glass sliding door. It was an old house. She put me outside my underwear over the fence. And I look at my mom and I go, oh my God, how nuts am I that I have transferred.
You conflated one.
Maybe something that I saw, which only made the book better, right? So I go in, I'm like, oh my God, let me change this. So I just found out this isn't true. So I buckle up because I'm clearly nuts and this book is going to be great. And I wrote 2 more chapters, and I gave them to a woman that I work with from Louisiana. And she was dying. She's like, tears. She's like, you have to write this book. And I said, well, these are stories my mama don't want me to tell, which means nothing, just a catchy title.
Yeah.
But I've got 3 chapters,
Oh, you got to keep going.
I clearly am not normal if I taking on these stories, you know, and my mom's like, that never happened. What the hell's wrong with me? So,
No,
you know,
I think we're all crazy in our own way. I mean,
I might be a little bit touched,
but who of us isn't?
That's what makes it fun.
It is what makes it fun. Thank you for sitting down with me today.
This has been fun. Thank you so much.
You're awesome.
Yes, ma'am.